To Be Hero X is a series where the power system is built on the amount of trust that the public has in you, which means that anyone can become a hero and expectations can change in an instant, and also means that marketing and branding are incredibly important because the person's image is more important than who the person is in reality. The animation in this series is outstanding. We have so many different animation styles, and it fluidly changes from one to another depending on what the series is trying to communicate in the moment. Some of these battles absolutely blow my mind with the quality of what we're watching. The magic, the motion, the music that backs all of it up, and the characters that the show will constantly give you a first impression of, and then quickly give you a different perspective that alters everything you thought you knew or every idea that you had about the person from the start. The show is never not recontextualizing either characters and their motivation or just an entire scene that you watched unfold, had a very distinct opinion of, and now you're watching it again from another perspective and everything is changed. The show will not stop introducing you to a character and then showing you more about them and changing everything you thought you knew about them. It also is constantly adding to the situations and the plot lines that we're following. From the start of the show to the end, you're basically watching a completely different show. Not because the show has changed, but because the context around everything that you knew at the beginning has changed so much. This is my discussion on the themes of To Be Hero X. There will be spoilers. Jump into the night, 'cause I can smell the trouble. Don't you miss the fight? In the show, belief becomes reality, and public opinion is a force that shapes that reality. This world is fragile and volatile because people's emotions and perceptions literally shape it. How much people trust in someone is a measurable force. It becomes like another law of physics in this world that alters what a person can do, which means that a hero's determination or virtue or ambition, none of those things matter as much as public perception. Just the same, fear can distort or weaken or completely alter them. So something that's already very powerful in our world, social power, it's abstract in our world, but it still holds a lot of levity. Social influence, social engagement, social perception of a person does hold a certain amount of weight. I mean, it depends on how much weight we allow it to add, but it's pretty hard not to let it add some weight to us. It does add some weight to us in the world that we engage in right now. How people perceive us is important to us, and the way that we present ourselves is reflective of that. Just the same, social perception can destroy lives. It's such an abstract concept with very tangible effects in our world, and the world for To Be Hero X takes that abstract concept and physicalizes it. What would it actually be like if this social influence, if social perspective really did alter reality? And the answer is terrifying. It means that a hero isn't just seeking to do the right thing, they're also seeking visibility, marketing, branding. All of those things have to matter somehow as much, if not more, as simply doing the right thing. And if someone does simply do the right thing, like for instance a firefighter that saves a little girl out of the goodness of his heart, suddenly now he's trapped in the system of trust to the point that he's now in a cage, and it's torturous because now who he really is doesn't actually matter. What he has to be is what he's perceived as, and that's so limiting. So a person can become powerful and stronger by being more loved, but then less free because they're trapped in that perception that people have of them. There is no separation between persona and reality. There is no relief from the public eye or from the ideals that people have about you. You're just condemned to always be that thing, even if that thing is stealing your life from you. Like, you can't really actually see your family anymore or express any sort of emotion but a smile, because that's what you have to be. Even someone who is authentically heroic and does good things just because they care about doing good things, still their personality and identity must be destroyed as they're warped into whatever the public has perceived you as in your heroic deeds. So trust can build them up, but it can also trap them in the expectations of the crowd. So that means that identity isn't just a thing that a person is, it's something that they perform for the audience. And it's also something that can be bottled, marketed, and utilized. Marketing teams, branding managers realize that people are actually symbols, and symbols are a lot easier to control. This carefully curated brand that some powers that be higher up have decided this is what the audience wants. Doesn't matter what you really are, this is what they want, and therefore this is what you'll be. That way you can have more power. Once again, very reflective of our world, how Hollywood operates, how so many major brands operate. It's so clear that it's built by a machine, so that what they think you want to see is what they'll feed you, so that you'll buy more of what they want to sell. So the system about heroes fighting villains and protecting the people is actually a system with higher ups that are using it to exploit morality for a profit. It definitely makes you reflect on the cost of being good in this world, the cost of being admired. A simple act of goodness could trap you for the rest of your life, which then makes you wonder how quickly a system like this could break down. Because while from the outside being a hero looks really fantastic, the more you see on the inside, the more you see the heroes desperately wanting to get out of the system. When Might Man is no longer in the top 10, he doesn't look back. He's like, have a nice life. Bye. Doesn't think twice about leaving. He's thrilled to be out of it. Same for Moon, when she's no longer trapped in the relationship that she never wanted, but her simple love for travel has now turned into a cage where she can't leave the side of the man that the public has decided she has to be with. When it's time for her to leave, she's like, doesn't look back, doesn't consider, doesn't say a word. Which for people like Might Man and others, you would want them to want to continue to be heroic. You would want them to desire to continue saving children. But I wonder, would he hesitate next time? Now that he's free of these chains, would he hesitate next time to save that child? Because he doesn't want the notoriety ever again. The system ends up rewarding conformity, because once belief becomes measurable, it becomes governable. The system can look fair while still being coercive. In concept, anyone can rise in the ranks. Anyone can elevate themselves to hero status, but in reality, that means a ton of self-promotion, self-editing, deception of who you actually are, chasing crowd approval in order to get that notoriety, which would make it really easy for the people that actually rise to the top to be the best deceivers instead of the most noble. I think X is a useful thematic foil to this system. First, let me just say, what an excellent character. X has been built up from the beginning of season 1 and then doesn't actually truly show up. I mean, he shows up in small ways that you hopefully catch, but he doesn't truly come on scene until the end of season 2, and that is a mistake. Always, to have that much build up for a character that you know is going to be important, that you know is going to be powerful, and then you just don't show them for so long, and then you have to show off, and you've already built up all these big powerful systems and powerful characters that can show off such incredible power. Like, I'm sorry, he's not going to live up to the hype. He lived up to the hype. Oh my gosh, the animation, the powers, the aura. Listen, I'm not trying to be exactly who the show is critiquing. okay? I'm just saying that X is really cool and he has all my trust. But he's mysterious, he's not easily categorized, and he kind of just exposes how artificial the rankings really are. X feels like the one who refuses to be fully reduced to a label. He seems to sit outside of the logic that the series is presenting. I think a big thematic point of the series is that people want heroes, but once they do, they also demand that those heroes stay useful, controllable, and likable. But also that public perception, that public demand can change on a whim. If the public sees you doing something that they view as distasteful, they'll go from cheering you on and believing in you and giving you your power to absolutely despising you and rooting against you with a snap judgment. They don't even need to know the full context. They don't need to understand what's happening. They may not have enough trust in you to stay a minute and see what's actually going on. That public perception is as quickly withdrawn as it is given. Jay did a video on To Be Hero X earlier last week, and he spent some time talking about how that relates, how what the show is talking about relates to being a YouTuber. How that online persona can feed into the system and then morph things so that it takes over. It's the only thing you have. So you can check out his video if you want more discussion on that. I'm not mad that he got his video up before me. That's fine. But we also streamed our reactions to this show, so if you wanted to check that out, it's on either my Patreon or his. You can either one, it'll be there. And I do think that the show reflects a lot of the experience of an influencer or of someone in Hollywood or someone behind a major brand, but I also think it reflects a lot of just the everyday life. I think it reflects what near everyone goes through at some point in their life, if not perpetually throughout their entire life. We're all prone to wearing our own mask based off of what the world wants us to be or what we perceive the world to want us to be. For our parents, our children, our friends, our careers, all the people that we're convinced care a whole lot more about us than they actually do, that pay a lot closer attention to us than they actually do, constantly warping the things we say, the things we do, how we respond to be accepted, to be approved, to have more trust value for the people around us. Any of us can, and sometimes do, fall into that trap. But what does that lead to? And I think that's a big part of what the series points out. Yes, it does it on this like grander scale that's kind of a reflection of the world at large and how social influence affects things and how brands lie to feed you what you want to hear so that you will give them what they want, right? So it has that wider metric, but it also has a much softer discussion. All people can find themselves performing for approval. We can shape ourselves around a performance of what we think people want from us. But what does that performance take from us? What gets lost when the version of ourselves that's most loved is the one that's the least true? I actually think there's a lot more social commentary than just what I've zeroed in on this video, so please feel free to chat with me more about the video in the comments, not the video, the show. In the comments, I'd love to continue discussing it with you. Let me know what you thought about To Be Hero X. Check out Jay's video if you haven't already. I'll see you again soon. Bye.